Now, my friends, let me just tell you one secret, okay? Now, here are 5 people that you should never, at any cost, lend them your money, or otherwise you regret at the end of the day, all right? By the way, let me just take this opportunity to say thank you for your eyeballs. Thank you for always turning in and actually coming here to watch my videos. And by the way, I was checking on the statistics on the YouTube channel, and I realized that some of guys are watching my videos without actually liking and also subscribing. That might be you. I don't know why I just have that feeling that might be you. And by the way, just take 1 second. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit that like button, and also, there is that small button written subscribe. Okay. Thank you. Fine. Now, here are 5 people. You're not supposed to lend them your money. All right, let's get into the business now. The first person, okay? And this person might be you, okay? The first person that is not supposed to lend them your money is actually your boss. All right, your boss. And you're like, what? I thought I should lend them so that at least they can befriend them, so that I'd be close to them, and I'm likely to get, appreciation in jobs and favorism and all those kind. Let me tell you one secret. I have a lady who called me actually. It's only that I cannot share identities because I reserve the identities. Guess what she's told me? Hey, guess what, Joseph? I'm employed somewhere in a corporate. Obviously, it's a private-owned company. And I thought I was doing a great thing. I shared this news to my boss that I bought myself a plot and I'm looking forward into building. I didn't even last 1 month. I got fired. Let me tell you one secret. This society that we live in, people are jealousy. That's for a fact. And whenever you lend your boss money, and I know you're like, okay, fine, that's a different case from you lending money. I understand. Let me explain. See, when you lend your boss your money, they actually tend to understand your numbers. They tend to know. And see, if there is a hard thing that you can never get yourself into, is having a social relationship with somebody and have a financial relationship with them at the same time. Because they are likely to manipulate the position that they have with respect to them paying back your money. For example, can you imagine going back to your office, to the boss's office and asking your money? Like, Hong Kong, hey, hello, good morning, sir. Oh, good morning, madam. I was, I'm here for my money that... Can you just imagine that, okay? It's quite very hard. You'll be having that thing walking in those streets of that company that usually work, and the boss is just walking all over the place, and they believe, and I don't know why these boss people, or this, not all of them, some are very good and wonderful, and congratulations to them. There are some people who are wealthy. Have you ever worked for somebody, and then it's a time to ask for your cash, and they treat you like, from your case, you don't like really need some cash. And when you tell them, hey, sir, I think it's my time to for you to pay me, and they tell you, I have a lot of things, Joseph, right now. I'm actually going ahead and I'm going to pay you later. It's like what they do is so much important than what you're going to do with the money. By the way, I used to rub shoulders with those kind of guys who perceive life as if, even if I'm asking for my $10, I mean, it means world to me. You ought to give me that money. And the moment you lend the money, it's like their problems are quite bigger than your problem. And maybe you did sacrifice something. Maybe to you, you are lending them your cash on the basis of, hey, guess what? Joseph always says that we ought to have these good and great friends of ours who motivate us and all those kind of things. Maybe that was your basis. And that's amazing. But to them, that's not how they take it. To them, they take it as if, hey, this guy just lent this money because they don't know what they can actually use that money with. Have you ever seen somebody who is actually doing that? They can even dare tell you like, hey, I saw you have like 100 G's. Why don't you just give me? Because it's like he just idle somewhere. And then because maybe you are there and you're full, you're like, hey, it is true, I have 100,000 and I don't know. But would you mind even taking it? And that's how they perceive it. So avoid and be very careful. And when I say avoid, well, I know it means like never do it. But you see, when you can have a boss who you actually have a very good relationship, and don't confuse the social relationship with the financial relationship. Those are two different things. If you guys have a good financial relationship, then you can go ahead and lend them your money. But if you do not have such a kind of a thing in existence, whoa, avoid it as much as you can, okay? Bosses are the first people you should avoid actually doing what? Lending them your money. Number 2, this is a very common thing, and I actually feel like I can slap you, by the way. I mean, in a good way of correcting you, Lending uncommitted partners your money. You lend your uncommitted partner. You just have a girlfriend or a boyfriend somewhere, like, we just love each other. So, she texted me or he called me and just lend, my money because I have like close to, I don't know, even 20 cases of ladies working in Gulf. You just meet somebody online and you guys will be exchanging, talking like, all the hours during the evening, and you love each other. And then the guy tells you, hey, you know what? Send me some cash so that I can start a business. By the time you're coming from Gulf, now you have a business in existence. My friend, I always tell people in a very simple manner. Just don't be that dumb. Don't commit yourself. Do not lend people money as far as you are in a uncommitted relationship or a partnership. Be sure if you lend them money, one day it will come a point whereby it will be very hard for them to actually return that back money to you, because it is very rough and tough for them to actually do exactly that. Did you get my point? Do not lend those people whom you have uncommitted relationship with them. The only people whom I believe that you're supposed to lend them money as far as the partnership is concerned is either somebody who you have a legal agreement, whereby you've written some legal agreement, okay, or it's somebody whom you share a bed, you married, there's no issue. But sometimes it becomes some sort of an issue, but for that I do not have any issue, okay? But if you lending some money to an uncommitted partner, I am telling you one day you're gonna cry about that, okay? Now let's continue. The other thing is, and I know this one is going to be controversial, and I have to give you a warning. If you are so simple in terms of understanding things, this may not be the point. You might feel like you hate me or something, but I have to say it. Pastor. The pastors and all those kind of people. Yeah, you know why I'm using this example? I actually have a case where somebody called me and told me, hey, Joseph, I lent my pastor a certain amount of money, and now we are in a situation whereby whenever I go back to him or her, tell her I have some cash crunch somewhere, he tells me to pray, and I'm not despising the power of prayers. It's amazing. But there is a difference between the human action, that what you can control, you giving or them giving back your money, and also praying. You know, let's try not to intimidate people based on that, you know, sort of a status that we hold and that position that we have. That is quite an important thing that you can never have as a human being. It is good to have that virtue deep inside of you. So pastors, and let's say people of high, you know, when I say pastors here, I mean like, you know, having people who you are at an equal, you know, sort of a stages or something of sort. You know, it is good to be very careful whenever you're lending them your money. You can actually get yourself into lots of problems, and you can just imagine if you go against your pastor in that specific church because the pastor did not pay your money, you know, the members of the followers of that place, if probably they are brainwashed, they are likely to turn against you and tell you you're trying to, you know, sort of dirtify our pastor's name and all those kind of things. If you can just avoid it. Just avoid. It doesn't cost nothing. Just avoid it and be an individual of saying no. But if you realize somebody, we have amazing pastors, by the way. But if you realize somebody has a character, somebody has a dignity, somebody, you know, understands, draws a lines between me being, you know, priesthood or maybe preaching to you and then your financial life and in your family life, your social, you know, there's people who are actually very intelligent, smart, and actually blessed and called upon, and they have that mutual respect. For them, it's okay. But you have some other people who are just like all over the place. Be very careful. All right. Now, the other thing, the other people or the other individual that are not supposed to pay your money or lend your money is actually, yeah, I know you've been looking forward into that. It's true. Family members. Okay, family members. I usually prefer giving them than lending them. Sure. If they say, hey, so and so, would you mind lending me like 10 Gs? If you have them, just say, hey, I may not have the 10 Gs, but I can assure you I have 2 Gs that I can give you for free. You'd rather do that. Give them the 2 Gs and forget about it. Because if you can lend them money, and when I say family members here, I can actually subdivide it, you know, into Roman 1, parents. I am telling you, there are people who you can... I'm not saying parents should not be given money anyway, but when you lend them money, actually consider you giving them that money. Because in most cases, whenever you go up and ask your money, they actually sort of manipulate you. And this is quite... there is actually a term that defines this, called argument term something. For those who know, there's an existing of a term actually when you sort of lend your parents some money and then you're back there asking for your money. They tell you, hey, why should you even consider your money like so much important? Would you imagine how I brought you up, all the struggles that I went through and all those they kind of emotionally sort of manipulate you to a point whereby you're like, damn, why did I even lend them my money? All right, you'd rather even give them and forget about it. That's the reality. Even the family members here can actually apply, where you lend your brothers, your sisters money, and then the next minute you're trying to ask for your money, and then they are manipulating you, and then they're trying to remind you of your childhood. Like, do you remember that was that time I really saved your life? Do you remember there was that time that I really tried my best to, do you know how much I've used to actually educate you? Do you know what? You see, but when we argue that way, then... be very careful. The other person you're not supposed to lend your money is your landlord. Landlord. Boy, you don't lend your landlord money, I'm telling you. Because you know why? Let's say you have like, let me just use this term for this lack of a better word. Let's say you have some idle cash somewhere, like 30, 40, 60 Gs. And again, you should not have idle cash. That's what I'm saying. But let's just say it happens that you have it. Maybe say you were paid yesterday. And then the landlord shows up and tells you, hey, hello, sir. Good morning. How are you doing today? Would you mind like lending me like 20 Gs? You're like, sure, you know. And I don't know why you people usually behave in front of landlords like they are actually lords or something of sort, and then you just take that money because here you are there, you want good relationship, you want a good neighborhood, and you want somebody who has a mutual respect and all those kind of things. There you are, hey, yeah, here's the money you give them, and then they walk away. When they say, hey, by the way, in 2 weeks' time, I'm actually gonna pay you, and then there are 2 weeks they are there. You can't remind them, you know. You're like, you pass by and look at them and you see whether they're gonna do something about and remind themselves that they have some money, and they don't even bother. They just look unbothered, and then you're like, what the. Did this guy know you actually I need some money? And then maybe let's say you have the guts and you go to them and tell them, hey, I want some money. And they are like, why don't you like sort of carry it over towards, they assume like everything you look for is used to pay rent. That's a very awkward way of looking things. Why would you assume that money that I gave you, it's like I usually go there and look for money just to pay rent? You aren't supposed to, because you don't even know what I'm doing. See, if I lend you money, just return it to me. Or if I want to go or be carried forward towards my rent, let me be the one who's telling you, hey, do this. And instead of, by the way, giving me that money, carry it forward. Let's cater for the rents and something of. Don't just assume like because I live in your place and all those. These are the people you're supposed to avoid lending them your money. Okay, are you together? I don't even know how I can actually frame it. But there are some other landlords that are actually from heaven. They're so amazing. You lend them your money, they actually return it, sometimes even give in your interest. By the way, I'm not going to say about that. I'm not going to say about that. But they are very wonderful people. I've actually met a lot of beautiful and wonderful landlords whom you lend them money, they actually pay you in cash in that particular time. Sometimes they even give you an interest. And they're so much amazing people, all right? But most of them are very critical and tough people you can never associate yourself with, okay? Now, the other one is, part G is actually your friend. Okay, your friend. This is another dicey situation. Whom you can actually lend your money. These are people whom you find like, I don't even know who I can. You already know the answer to this. These are very technical and tough people to actually lend your money. Just avoid it. And I know you know the reason. Just avoid it. You can actually end up in enmity just because of your money. It is true. I have ever been in such a situation, and I believe anybody who is of age knows exactly what I'm talking about. You can actually lend your friend the money and you end up being enemies. The last one, but not the least, is your neighbor. I have seen some neighborhood actually being affected because of the aspect of lending money. You just lend your neighbor money, and then there they are. They tell even your kids spend like all the time in my place. I watch them, I feed them. By the time you show up from the work, now, how do you think I can even, if I was to charge you, how much does a daycare? Whoa. If it goes that way, that's a spillover. If it goes that way, then in short, you are being told, forget about that cash. Just forget about it. And the worst thing that you can ever have is to have enemies who are your neighbors, because we never choose our neighbors. They happen. Yeah, they just happen. They just happen to be our neighbors. You cannot choose it. All right. So anyway, it is what it is. Anyway, that's life, and that's how it is. Just be smart in 2024 and henceforth the rest of your life. If you watch this video in 2028, 2030, 2100, this remains constant. Be very careful. Anyway, for now, it's a goodbye. But don't forget one thing. You can always pick my number from the description of this specific video. By the way, it's out there. Yeah, that's my number. You can pick it out there, and we can talk about financial advices and financial consultations and businesses and what have you. I offer those services, obviously at a cup of coffee's price, and you can as well pick my booklets about investment. See you in the next one. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this from international, in place of this 0, you can add +254, then 11. You get your number. Anyway, for now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next one.